Welcome to the Hunting Beast Report, a live video podcast with Dan Infalt and host Jeremy Gillespie.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Stealth Outdoors. The off-season's a great time to rehab your gear, so head on over to Stealth Outdoors at www.stealthoutdoors.com to pick up some climbing stick wraps, cam buckle covers, platform cable wraps, or stealth strip rolls for all of your miscellaneous silencing needs. Today's show is also made possible by Hunting Beast Gear, innovators in mobile hunting gear and the designers of the Beast Sticks and Beast Stand. Check out the latest products at www.huntingbeastgear.com. And now, on to the podcast. All right, we're live. Wow, Ashley made it in just in time. So for people that don't know, Ashley was texting me. She didn't get the link, and it was a last-minute thing. So, Ashley, good to see you. How are you doing? I don't know if we can hear you, but I can see you for sure. And today we're joined by a special guest, Adam Rakers. Adam, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
And as always, Dan Infalt. Dan, you're texting me. You're out hunting and said you might be late if you shoot one. But I see you're here, so I can infer that means you did not shoot one today.
I held off.
Yeah. Sounds like you were close, though.
Had a few walking around me.
Well, today we're going to talk about, if the thumbnail didn't give it away, Adam had a pretty incredible hunt this year where he shot 2 giant bucks. So we're going to talk about that. Before we do that, we still have the Lathrop & Sons promotion going on. So we've got this December, we're giving away the non-typical insole and the Synergy. So the non-typical is the one designed for extra warmth for like your rubber boots, and the Synergy is the hiking Western style insole, gel style insole. So you're going to get both of those for the next couple giveaways, Synergy and a non-typical, and a $50 gift card. So the giveaway kind of ramps up. And if you haven't already signed up for the grand prize, which is a pair of boots, check the link in the description and go to Lathrop & Sons, the Beast giveaway, sign up with your email, and that'll get you entered. You have to join their mailing list to be entered for the grand prize, which is the boots. So, Dan, before we jump into Adam's story, I noticed on the forum, and then I watched the podcast today, kind of surprising news that Exodus Outdoors is closing. And I know that you had been partnered with them for a while. We had Chad and Jake on the live show a while back, and I know you'd been on their show also. So give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Chad got a hold of me couple days before he released that information. I think he's heartbroken. I mean, it's a hard gig. In a perfect world, and especially in today's economy, you have an item for sale like a shirt or something. You sell shirts or something that you can sell, that you make for low cost and sell for high profit, and everybody can afford. As soon as you get into high dollar stuff like cameras and stuff, it gets really competitive. Big dollar stuff is hard to play with the big boys. There's millionaire companies out there out of China and stuff that can play anything they want with prices. And it's really hard to compete. I feel bad for him. I mean, he had a lot of passion. Well, they all did, but especially Chad, because Chad was more my friend. He has a lot of passion in that company. So, it's hurting him bad, and he really feels bad for his customers more than he does for himself,
Yeah. And if you have Exodus products, specifically their cell cams, and you're wondering what to do, I'd encourage everyone, if this is news to you, go on the Exodus Outdoor channel. They did a, hour and a half long podcast. I was just curious. So while I was working today, I listened to it, and they talk about, one, why they're closing, kind of how they got there. It sounds like they just had kind of a real bad run of bad luck. Like, one or two things individually wouldn't have made them close, but they had a bunch of bad things happen simultaneously. And it sounds like it kind of dried up all their cash. So check that out. They instruct you what to do if you have the products, how to convert them over. Yeah, Scout Look, right?
Going back, yeah, Scout Tech or Scout, whatever.
Or sorry, Scout Tech. Yep.
Yeah, and his like post that he made was very heartfelt and very like he knew their shortcomings, and like I pride him on realizing what they did wrong towards the end too, and he admitted it, and he was just like, I'm sorry, but it has to come to an end. Like, I feel like he did it in a very, I'm trying to find the right word for it, but a very admirable way, I guess.
Yeah, and I think those guys, they've put a lot of content out, and I think anytime somebody's putting a lot of content out, you get a feel for people's personality and their values and stuff. And to me, I mean, I don't know any of them personally, but just from what I've seen, they all seem like stand-up guys. I had Jake on my podcast before, and just seemed real honest and humble. So wish those guys the best. It's a shame that it come to that, but wanted to bring it up here in case anybody's running those Exodus outdoor gear cameras, so you're aware of that and some of the steps you can do. Again, encourage you to watch that podcast. So just wanted to get that out there. But enough of that. Let's hear about these two giant bucks. So Adam, people, I imagine people aren't familiar with you. You mentioned to me before we got online, you've been on the Hunting Beast Forum since 2017, and that maybe has changed the way you hunted. So give us a brief introduction, when you started checking out the beast and maybe some previous hunts.
In 2017, I first got on the beast. I heard from a friend, told me to check it out. It's good information and everything. Before 2017, I had two deer on the wall. I'd been hunting since, 28 years now. So, in that amount of time frame, 2 deer on the wall is not really crazy or anything. But since 2017, I counted them up, and with these two, I put 8 deer on the wall just from using beast tactics and everything I've learned on the forum and, the YouTube and everything else. So, obviously these tactics work, and, it's been tenfold in my success since I got on the beast. So,
yeah, that post you put up on the Hunting Beast Forum page on Facebook shocked a lot of people.
yeah. It was crazy, the reaction, that got that single post. People want to be my friends. I don't know, I've probably got about 30-40 friend requests from just random people on that site, hunters and whatnot.
They're probably trying to figure out where you live and hunt.
Exactly. And I don't know the guy, so I don't want to be a jerk or nothing. But at the same time, it's hard to want to friend all these people and still try and keep your spot secret and everything. So, well,
the average person hunts a lifetime and never gets a crack at a gross Boone and Crockett scoring buck. Yeah. And you did 2 in one afternoon.
Yeah, it was insane.
I'd be interested, and before we get into those, what were you doing prior to 2017? And obviously people on here are familiar with the beast tactics, but was there anything specific that you changed that started leading to more success? What would you do before, and what did you do different now?
Well, for the most part, I got the lock-on stand. No more searching for a tree with the climber. I used a climber for 20 years, and you can't get in the spots you need to get close enough to have the deer come by you in daylight, the bigger bucks, mature deer. So I got rid of that, started using lock-ons, strictly nothing but lock-ons. I didn't mean for it that way, but after my climber blew off the boat on the way to a hunt, I just didn't replace it. And I've been using a lock-on ever since. And then, just like hunting close to bedding, like everything I do revolves around, like, where is this deer bedding? Where do I think this deer's at? Where do I think he's bedding? Like, I don't hunt any field edges, nothing like that anymore. I'm always real close to cover, even afternoons. I'm not hunting travel routes to food or anything. I'm like real tight on bedding. I know, you're not going to see the high numbers of deer like that, but you're definitely going to see better quality deer earlier in the afternoons. So, and then, just looking at everything I learned about how bucks bed through the beast, when are their back and everything. And I really put that to work on like hunting around water, because, I learned that, the bucks, they'll get in tight to the water, and then they will use that water as an advantage from their backside and then have the wind blowing into the water. So pretty much they're 100% covered every direction. And that's really played a lot into my hunting and locating mature bucks, honestly.
So let's get into go ahead, Ashley. Sorry.
I was just curious, like, what state you hunt and what your terrain is like.
So I hunt Illinois. My terrain is mostly flat, and anywhere from bottomland to, rolling ridges, nothing crazy, nothing real steep or anything. No, I did hunt a little bit of hill country this year just because I got drawn for a special hunt. But honestly, I was kind of lost. I tried watching all the hill country videos and everything and putting what I had learned to use and everything, and it kicked my butt. But I'm not going to give up on it either. I'm just going to keep trying to learn as much as I can, and shooting bucks in every type of terrain I can.
I think once you give it some time, Dan, chime in here, but I feel like once I started to figure it out, the hills during the rut specifically, I think hills early are real tough, but during the rut, I like hunting the hills because the movement seems a little more predictable around the terrain.
Yeah, in a perfect world, I think the swamps and thickets and bottomland and stuff is really good in early season, and then again in late season. But I think those hills are really good in rut. If you can get figured out the how they travel the side hills and between hidden areas and stuff.
Yeah,
and a good thing too, like you said, how you're struggling to learn a new terrain. I think learning all the terrains makes you better in the terrains that you're good at. You miss things. You start to see how that little bit of roll makes a difference even in the flat land and stuff.
Right. It makes you really think about the thermals, even when you're hunting like the flat land and like the little ditches and stuff, something that could bring your scent the wrong direction during that golden half hour at the end of, daylight or whatever.
You don't grow if you stay comfortable.
Right. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the hunt for these two bucks. I'd be curious to know, why'd you end up in the area you were in to begin with? Did you have cameras out? Had you spring scouted? Had observation? How'd you end up there?
Honestly, for the past, 3-4 years, I haven't ran cameras. I don't know. I'm younger, I'm 40, but I kind of have an old school mentality with my hunting and stuff. I don't use any cell cams. I don't even use any, old style cameras, just because, it would make me want to get in there and check them and then, put an extra scent out and everything else. I'd rather, like, the very first time I'm in be that first time sit, element of surprise, because like Dan says, that's how you kill the biggest deer in the woods, the oldest, most mature bucks, which it's worked out very good for me recently.
So had you scouted this preseason or in season? So, how'd you end up there?
I did not scout this season, but I have history with this area. I've been hunting for a long time, and last year, late season, I got on 3 good bucks that were bedding together, and they're bedding about 80 yards from this spot. And then, this spot, the way it kind of sets up, it's a peninsula kind of that goes out into the water. And along the edges, there's brush and, there's laydowns that the deer will bed in, that mostly does that are bedding along the edge, along the water. But like what I witnessed, those 3 hunts in January, I saw them bucks 3 different days in a row. They were bedding about 80 yards from the water. So, I have that in the back of my mind. And then, also this area where I'm hunting, I know there's huge bucks in there. There's a lot of protected land close, that's not huntable and everything. And these bucks get out and roam eventually, and, even from pressure inside, not hunting pressure, just, hiking, whatever else, pressure inside the no hunting area, the bucks get out of that no hunting area. So what I had in mind was that on that day, that peninsula land, I was hoping to get some does come in there, because I knew there was doe bedding within, 30, 40 yards of my tree. And, it was that time of rut, November 15th, deer going to bucks are going to be pushing does. And then also in the back of my mind, I had that, those bucks were bedded there, be it that it was 3 months or, 2 months later in the season last year, those bucks were bedded about 80 yards from the water also. So I knew that, big bucks like to bed in that area. So that's the reason why I was there, because I had history with big bucks in the area, and then it had all the elements, wind blowing into the peninsula where it would make it perfect for a buck to bed in there and feel secure. And then also, for like does to get out of, away from bucks to where they're not being harassed. They can hide from bucks a lot easier with that wind blowing directly into the peninsula, because then the bucks wouldn't be able to get upwind of them and smell them unless they're right on the water's edge.
Mm-hmm. So how'd you beat the wind? You get just off wind or just over to the side, or?
No, my wind wasn't a just off wind. It was blowing directly toward the water, and I was only about 20 yards off the water.
Okay.
So, and I took a boat in, so, I didn't spook anything on the way in. Quiet. I'll tell you what, though, man, taking a boat in is one of the sneakiest things you can do for killing big, mature bucks. It's so much easier getting in to places that are, big bucket bedding areas without spooking any does on the way in or spooking anything. I've had a lot of success hunting mornings along, water's edge, trying to, get big bucks coming back to bed along the water, and, sneaking in there super early, getting in there before they get in. And then, they end up coming in on you a little bit later. So.
Yeah, it's an underrated tactic for sure. And I think just part of the reason is because not everybody has a boat or a canoe or a kayak. So right there, you've limited some of your competition or hunting pressure, whatever you want to call it. And that if you do have access to a boat or a canoe or kayak, and especially if you're not motorized or you can coast in, it's like you can come in so quiet to those areas. And it sounds like you found an area where you can get out, only move a short distance to your tree, and keeps your ground scent down. If you're sensible back over the water, it's pretty bulletproof setups.
Right. That is another huge thing about keeping your ground scent to a minimum, because, I was only hunting 20 yards off the water, so I didn't really have any ground scent as far as where the deer were going to be moving and everything. So that was a huge bonus.
Well, before we got on, you showed me the skull plate. So why don't you grab the first one that you killed? Because I haven't talked to you, so I don't know which buck came in first. And both of these deer are pretty incredible. So yeah, pull that. Yeah, there you go. Pull it back a little bit and turn it. So talk to me about when you first laid eyes on this deer. Had you ever seen this deer before? And how did it come in? Was it on a doe? Tell me the story.
Okay, so no, I don't have any history with this deer. Never had any pictures of it or anything. Didn't know about this deer in particular. Like I said, I just knew big bucks use the area, and I knew there were big bucks, a lot of protected ground close that helped that the deer could grow to maturity in.
Yeah.
So I first saw this deer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's stickers, tines everywhere. And, I looked at the rack for maybe, 10 seconds, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to shoot this deer. This is a giant.
Yeah.
And I had to quit looking at him so I didn't get too jacked up before I shot, And well, this deer, he was by himself. He ended up coming in on a trail that's about 40 yards that paralleled the edge of the water, just scent checking for does and whatnot. Well, he came in, got straight in front of me, and then there's kind of a ditch off to my right where it's a real thick ditch with button brush and whatever else in it, good bedding. Well, they can either go around the head of the ditch, or they can come straight down past me and kind of cut the edge of the water. Well, that buck, he stopped right in front of me, and then he proceeded to come straight down past me, which put him at 10 yards before I shot him. And then
dream scenario there.
Right. I made a perfect shot. He ran off 80 yards, watched him fall. And at that point, I'm just losing it. had to call everyone in my contact, called the wife, called my brother and dad and everyone. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just killed a giant.
You saw him go down then?
Yeah, I watched him go down, and I'm telling my brother. Me and my brother are pretty close. We've been hunting together for a long time and everything, so we kind of share everything. Like I don't, when it comes to big bucks, I don't mislead my brother or anything. I tell him exactly where I saw the deer. I want him to succeed as much as me. I don't feed him a line of bull saying, I shot it in this county or anything like that.
Sure.
So I called him, and he's like, he's all jacked up for me and everything, and he's hunting at the same time, and he's like, well, I'm hunting, I'm like, well, why don't you go ahead and sit, and I'll sit until you get down or wherever, and if you want to come give me a hand. So then,
what time of day was this?
This was about 7:15 in the morning.
Oh, right away then.
Yeah. Morning hunt. So then about 45 minutes later, here comes 4 does on the same trail that first buck was on, and then there's another buck behind him. So I get my binoculars up. I'm looking at that buck. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a good one. Yeah. So he's coming in. He's coming in behind them does, and they're like in front of me, kind of where that buck turned and came down. The first buck turned and came down past me at 10 yards. Well, those does kept on going straight and went around the head of that ditch, which I didn't have a shot at that 40-yard trail at all. So if that buck would have followed them, I wouldn't have been able to shoot him. Well, as soon as this buck got to the scent trail from this non-typical, the first one I shot, he beelined straight toward, straight down past me, and which ended up putting him at 15 yards. He had to know where that other buck was. He smelt the buck in his area, and there wasn't no way to figure out where that buck was at without him coming downwind, because I was directly straight downwind, So that put him at 15 yards for another perfect shot. He ran 80 yards, watched him fall over. Same thing as the last one. These 2 deer, after I got down there, laying 40 yards from each other piled up. I got a picture standing next to one, and then you can see in the background another white belly.
Grab the skull plate off the typical, the second one. And that's, you told me before we got online, but it's a mainframe 12, right?
12, and it's got 5 extra scorables on the base, as you can kind of see.
Yeah, crazy bunch of 1-2 inch stickers down there that'll score too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said either you or somebody scored these deer, right? What'd the non-typical score?
That non-typical score 191 and 2/8, and this one was 175 even.
It's crazy. Those are green scores, obviously, but are you going to have them scored officially, or do you got any interest in entering them?
I honestly don't think I will.
Yeah.
I got one deer that I had officially scored, and it's in the books, but I think I'm good on that.
Your first one, right?
My very
Most people do. Most people do their first
and
one.
That very first one, that was my best deer for 23 years or so.
I don't know if we mentioned it. We might not have, but you weren't hunting at the King Ranch or anything, were you? You weren't hunting like
no offense here. All fair chase.
Public land, right?
Public land, yep.
That's a great hunt.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, before we got
2
online,
gross Boone and Crockett bucks in how many minutes? Like 45 minutes?
45 minutes, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then I had this boat I was using. It's one of them 8-foot boats. I don't know, bass hunter or something is what they're called, sun dolphin, something like that.
Yeah.
I got a trolling motor up, man. I had both those bucks on that. There's like a rib. There's a rib that divides the top half and the bottom. And if that rib goes under, you start taking on water. I was taking on water on the way back. I had my brother meet me at the ramp just because he wanted to give me a hand, and he pulled his truck all the way down in the water, opened his tailgate, and he hurried up and loaded them bucks up for me. But before he got there, there was a vehicle coming in the parking lot, and he's like, my brother's sitting in the parking lot. He's like, there's a car coming. You better turn around. So I'm like, I turn around. I'm out in wide open water. I turn around so that vehicle couldn't see the bucks on the boat or whatever, and I got them covered up with my jackets and everything, so no one could even tell they're bucks. And that we spun around. I acted like I was going the other way. Then that car got out of the way, and I hurried up and went to the ramp. And then as soon as we got the bucks loaded and everything, we're standing in the parking lot. That car comes driving right back by, and by that time, my brother had got out of there with the bucks. So no one had seen us, I don't think.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you were talking about motoring down that river. I'm thinking, I bet you he's paranoid as hell about somebody seeing those deer.
Yeah,
that's always been my nightmare, dragging big ones out of public land, is people running into you. That
Exactly.
When I got 3 years ago, that big one, we're getting to the parking lot. I'm like, we're home free. We get right up to the parking lot, and some guy walks around the corner and he goes, "Oh, Dan Infalt. Oh my God, look at that buck." He starts taking pictures. Oh no.
Yeah.
Public land is like that though. Like once somebody finds something, then they all tell everybody about it. And I think that's the strangest thing ever. Like, why would you not want to keep that your very own secret?
There it is.
Yeah, there's the bass tracker. That looks full, and you're not in there.
It's
all right,
real
I
cool.
gotta make this bigger.
And then-
Just a second.
Did you see that?
Hang on. That's amazing. I had it on split screen, so I had to make it bigger. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had my coat covering the racks and everything whenever I was on the way back, so no one could see him.
Well,
man.
Yeah, awesome hunt. And I'd be curious. Obviously, you said since you got on the beast, you've had increased success. But what'd you learn, if anything, from this hunt specifically?
From this hunt, I guess if you kill a giant, better just stay in the tree because there might be another one coming by 45 minutes later.
There's actually something to that, because I'll tell you, I might go 20 days without seeing a deer. And then when I see one, I see a bunch of them. You
know what? I will agree with you 100% because there's been multiple times where I had a good buck come through, and on the same exact trail that buck was coming, you got another mature deer come through shortly after. It's like they almost keep tabs.
Like when you're in them, you're in them. They're all in the same area a lot of times.
Right, yeah.
I had a hunt in Kansas in 2022 where no bucks. They were all solid bucks, like 120, 130. Nothing I wanted to shoot that specific year. And in the span of an hour and a half, I had 9 like racked bucks come through. And that spot I sat at before that time, and a hot doe had to go through in the dark. Is the only thing I could figure. It was a morning hunt, but it's I'd sat at that spot before years previous and since then, and never like that. So it's crazy how that can happen.
Right.
Sorry, Ashley, go ahead.
Oh, remember that 3-point that I shot?
Yeah.
Within 24 hours before and after, there was massive amounts of bucks, and there was eight of them, 8 different ones that were much better than the 3-point that I shot, but we never pulled the trail cam.
That's how it goes sometimes. When it's hot, it's hot.
And now they're not there. We have too many neighbors that have dogs and stuff, and they go walk out there, and it makes them disappear like that.
Another thing about that hunt is I don't think that would have happened to me, because I think if I saw a 190 drop and I could see it on the ground, I'd have been out of the tree and over there.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm right there with you.
Thank God my brother was coming to help me that day.
Right. I'd have had to get over and see that damn thing, and it would have probably cost me the second buck.
Right. I had no idea these deer were that big when I shot them. I don't want to be the guy that says, "Oh, I shot a 130," then you get up to it and shoot a 130, that says I shot a 150, and then you get up to it and it's a 130. So I've always kind of err on the side of caution and say like less, on the lower end. So I told everyone that they're at least 150 when I shot them.
Those non-typical ones, to me anyways, if every one of those deer are so hard to score because you just don't see stuff like that often. And those extra points, as I'm sure you found out, that looks like the one's got a split G3 that's basically the same length. That's like having a 6-7 inch G4, and then all those extra tines and inch. I don't know. Tines make big scores. So
yeah, I was just dumbfounded whenever my brother told me to score that non-typical. I had no idea it was going to score that high, honestly. And
So
the thing's only about 11 and some change wide,
Oh, really? Inside spread?
inside spread is only 11 and some change. Yeah.
All the times though.
Yeah.
Would
You're
would
gonna
that
have a
one
dream about shooting a buck. You're sitting in your tree stand. You're gonna dream about a non-typical. You think about the one, and then you fantasize about shooting a typical. You think about the other one. It's like exactly what you'd be.
Oh, I know.
The perfect 12 kind of, and then the nice gnarly non-typical. You got them both in one hunt. That's incredible.
Yeah. You know, and I love this so much, being out there hunting and everything. And like that second buck coming in, it was almost like, oh my God, am I going to be bucked out? Like before I shot this deer, like, oh, I don't know if I want to be bucked out, you know? And then I see him coming in, and I see like all them stickers coming off the bases when he's at 20 yards. I'm like, oh my God, I got to shoot this deer.
right? Yeah. Yeah. How do you not?
I have a question though. What made you do skull plates instead of anything else?
Oh,
Just out of curiosity.
these are I got a buddy that does my taxidermy, so like he'll skull plate them and like cape them out and everything, and then like while he's doing everything else before he gets to these deer, he'll let me take them home so that way I can show them off and everything. So
Okay.
these are both getting shoulder mounts. They're both going to be on a pedestal mount together, actually. Which I told the wife that if I ever killed one over 170, it was going to be a full body mount, but I don't think I can do that since I got two now. So I think a pedestal will be the next best thing.
A pedestal will be pretty cool, especially for both of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep, you'll never forget that day. I asked Adam before he got on if he was retired now, because it's like, how do you top that day?
Yeah, you can't.
No.
So just actually, we'll do the giveaway here in a second. Don't start guessing yet, folks. But I want to just wrap it up. We talked about it too, but if you could add on anything, Adam, about like beast tactics specifically, or what do you think obviously had a tremendous amount of success here, and it sounds like the last couple of years too, since 2017. What are you going to do to keep that train rolling?
Well, I'm just gonna keep doing my first time sits in every hunt. I don't, like I said, I don't ever really hunt the same tree twice. Just keep hopping around, keep finding new areas. During the winter, now that I'm bucked out and everything, I'm planning on doing some shed hunting and stuff, which would be my scouting and everything, trying to find some new areas and old historical sign and whatnot. And then, as far as like in-season scouting, I don't do a ton of in-season scouting besides like if I, land in a spot in the morning, it'd be my first time sit and, I don't see anything, I don't have any action or whatever, then I'll get down and walk around, see what's going on and whatnot. But like, I think one of the keys for these two deer that I killed, that previous week I had some really good success. I had a chance at 4 mature bucks that week alone.
Oh, wow.
When I shot these two. Well, I ended up wounding one and never ended up finding it, but I searched for 2 days for that deer. And I think just, grid searching, all that other surrounding ground close, put these deer in position possibly, it helped stack these deer into that area where I was at when I killed them. Because, where I hunted at, it was on the outskirts of, everything that I walked, grid searching and everything. And the hunt I did before that, I kind of set up for the same thing, but I hunted on the other side of it, So I had that in my mind. Not that I thought it was going to play out perfectly, but who knows if it did? It might have, might not, And then, another tactic, using the wind to be in your favor as well as the deer's favor. Like where I was set up at, it lined up perfectly for like a buck cruising, finding does, and then also just putting them right in my lap because I was 20 yards off that water. If a buck's cruising, the downwind edge, he's got to get right there in my lap to be able to find whatever does and stuff are in that area,
Yeah, so he's thinking he can smell all the land and he's got the water. There's nothing coming from the water.
Exactly. Yeah, which positioned him perfectly, right by me. And then
Well, no, that's awesome. Appreciate you sharing the story. We're gonna do this giveaway real quick. So, Ashley, I sent you the number. So we got 100 and nope, just jumped up 211 people. So pick a number, one between 1 to 211. One guess only, please. And if we don't have an exact match, then we will take the closest one without going over, and we'll do that at the end of the show. So go ahead and get your guesses in. And if you guessed earlier, you can guess again. Those don't count earlier. So from right now on. So Ashley, keep an eye on those. And then if you guys any questions for Adam or Dan, what Dan's been doing recently, try to respect Adam's time here. But get your questions into. We'll start taking some of those here in a minute. And yeah, so Dan, while we're waiting for that, give us the latest with you. What's been going on? And I know you said you were out tonight. What are you doing right now, and what are you trying to do the next week or so?
Muzzle loader's just coming to an end here. Tomorrow's the last day, but it's gonna be really cold tomorrow. Temperatures have been dropping. We do our muzzleloader season right when gun season ends, and everything's just so pounded around here. It's really hard. It's hard to find a deer without. I've been getting really remote, trying to go way further out. Having a hard time getting on big bucks. I know they're there. They're just not moving. They're not moving in daylight because all the pressure they've had. There's still pretty good pressure with the muzzleloader hunt too. And then as soon as that ends, they have all these damn doe seasons, and there really ain't going to be much good hunting around here until probably January, which we'll have the month of January to bow hunt in. And that gets pretty hard, but I'm going to keep at it. Might travel down to Nebraska or maybe the UP. Me and Eric have been talking about doing a trip. Haven't locked in one or the other yet. But other than that, not much going on. Steve Morse, one of the hunting beasts, one of my buddies. He was down in Kansas when we were down there hunting. Killed a whole bunch of bucks. He shot a moose in Maine this year.
Oh, nice.
Just found out he's got the new Maine state record for archery.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So not just any moose.
Ever shot with archery gear there, yeah. I've been applying to hunt with him for 2 years now, trying to draw a moose tag.
Yeah, those are some of the hardest tags to draw. At least I know out here they are. I think you can pay the money and go to Alaska or Canada and get one a little easier, but in the States it's pretty tough to draw a moose tag. Do you have any idea, Dan? Yeah, I was gonna say, did he give you any idea what your odds were like?
I don't know. It says on the site something like 1 in 1,000 or something like that, but it's kind of rigged. You can actually just buy a tag if you want one. If you want to pay, like, I forget what it is, like 20 grand.
Oh,
and then they just take it away from the people that are applying. And then when you apply, you get a point. You keep that point. The next year you have 2 points, and the next year you have 3 points, right?
Yeah.
But if you want any temporary points, they'll sell you temporary points, as many as you want for 1 year. And so it becomes a money game,
Yeah.
So yeah. It's kind of a pain, but you can draw. Steve's drawn 3 tags and shot 3 bulls in his lifetime so far. And I know a lot of other people that drew there, so it isn't impossible. It's just you got to keep at it.
They do a little bit of that in Montana, but it's they call it the governor's tag, and it's for bighorn sheep because those are probably the hardest tags to draw here. And I guess I don't mind this as much because it's only one tag, but they auction one off every year, and it usually raises $400,000 or $500,000. It's crazy what people pay for these things. And the governor's tag, you're allowed to hunt any sheep district you want. Obviously, you still only get one ram or whatever, but it's always some multi-millionaire, billionaire guy that's buying them. So, but since it's one and it goes to a good cause, I don't mind it as bad, but still turns it into a money game a little bit.
Yeah.
We do have a winner already. So last
Yes.
couple weeks, we haven't had anybody that guessed right on. So Ashley, if you want to go ahead and announce the winner.
I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but Blaine Saner, you guessed it exactly right. So you're the winner for tonight.
Yeah, the number was 71. Yeah, quick. So 71 was the number. Blaine Saner. Congratulations, Blaine. Send me an email to thehuntingbeastreport@gmail.com. That's thehuntingbeastreport@gmail.com. I need your name, mailing address, shoe size, and what am I missing here? Name, mailing address, shoe size, I'll have your email and phone number. That's the other one. So get me those. I'll get those over to Steven at Lathrop & Sons. Thanks again, Lathrop & Sons, for putting on this giveaway. And you will get 2 pairs of insoles, one non-typical, one Synergy, and a $50 gift card. And again, to remind people one more time, if you haven't already done so, go to the link in the video description, join Lathrop & Sons email list, and that'll enter you for a chance at the grand prize, which I believe we're going to give that away December 31st, and that'll be a pair of boots. So I got to get with Steve and Dan to make sure how we're going to draw that. Maybe he's going to draw it, or maybe we'll have him on the show that week. But we will get that figured out between now and then. Just make sure you've entered prior to December 31st to have a chance at the boots.
One thing I have to add for the Synergies is possibly send Jeremy what boot you have too, because they can custom cut the Synergies, and it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. So talk about that a little more. It's like the boot brand and model, right? Boot brand, model,
yeah, the boot brand and your size. So when I messaged them, they asked me for my boot brand, and I told them it was the Lacrosse Wind Rose, and that was one of the ones that they were capable of cutting the insole like perfectly for. So I'm not sure if it'll cover every single boot, but I do know that there are some that they will custom size them to, which is nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
I bought a pair of their mountain boots. I forget the name off the top of my head, but I got the Synergy insoles too, which is not the one that comes stock with it. It's got like a more of a felt type, and the Synergy is more of a gel type. I wore them all fall, and I was really happy with them. So I think they were more comfortable than the boots I was wearing before. So I'll be sticking with those. Ashley, we got any questions in the queue?
We do. So the first one is from Polaris Outdoors. It says, "Hey Dan, what ATA measurement do you use on your bow?"
ATA measurement?
Axle to axle, I'm assuming he means.
Oh, I'm not even sure what it is.
Okay. And then where did that one go?
I just ordered Prime's new bow. I should have it pretty soon.
What's the new bow for this year?
I don't even know the name of it. I just saw it today, and I called them up and said, "What the hell?" And they said, "Okay, it's on the way."
Dan, you're such a gear nut. What axle to axle? I don't know. What bow? I don't know. Yeah.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
The hunting factor wanted to know, was this a morning hunt, Adam?
It was.
What time, like, do you remember the time frame that you shot both of them at? That way we can give that to them at the same time.
Yeah, that first one was 7:15, around 7:15, and then the other one about 8.
So early morning.
Yeah.
Were you boating out in the dark then?
I was, yeah. I actually was running late. That I would have liked to have been in there at least an hour and a half earlier than what I got in that morning, but it obviously worked out in my favor anyway. So,
any tips for boating in the dark for people that are thinking about that?
Well, bring a life jacket with you. You never know.
Yeah. You got any lights rigged up, or you run a headlamp, or you got to have?
I run a headlamp.
I know some of those states. It depends on the boat size and stuff too. But if you guys are thinking about doing this, check your regs, because some states you got to have the green and red marker lights, or you got to have a spotlight or whatever. But I think sometimes if it's a smaller craft that doesn't have to be registered, you can get away with just a headlamp. So if you're thinking about doing that, just be safe and check your regs.
Yeah.
This one's been asked a few times. So, Jeremy, what are you into? What do you have going on?
So deer and elk season in Montana, for people that don't know, it always ends the Sunday after Thanksgiving, which was December 1st this year. So we talked about it a little bit, but I shot and I wounded that elk that someone else ended up finding like a day and a half later. So I did tag that animal. I called the game warden and figured out what I had to do. And it's like, well, if you want to salvage the antlers, the meat was no good at that point, you can tag it. So I did that, and I sent him the GPS coordinates, so if somebody found a headless bull, that they knew that that had already been called in and taken care of. And then I shot a deer November 1st with a rifle. So I was tagged out there. I did have 2 cow elk tags. So they, in Montana, have something called a shoulder season, which is basically like late doe in Wisconsin or Michigan. So I can still cow elk hunt. I don't know how much I'll do that, but those shoulder seasons have some restrictions. A lot of times you can't hunt on national forest, which is a lot of what I hunt is national forest. And a lot of times we're private land only. All depends on the unit. But anyways, long story short, I might do a little cow elk hunting, but it'll be restricted beyond what the normal season is because that shoulder season's got additional restrictions. So that's about it for me. Other than that, planning for next year. Dan, maybe we should do an episode on that because if people are looking at doing any Western hunts, a lot of states have early draws or point application periods. So like Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, they're all pretty early in the spring, or I think Wyoming's even in January. I buy points every year. So this time of year, once Montana ends, I look at where I want to buy points for the next year and start making sure I got my ducks in a row for that. And I set like phone reminders and stuff so I don't miss any of those. But anyways, that's it for me. Pretty well done hunting for the year, except maybe an elk hunt or two for a cow.
Gotcha. I can't find who asked the question. So whoever asked this question, I'm very sorry. But they were wondering if you got it on film. Like your double.
I wish. No, I didn't though. Yeah, but I did. I know how, these, I know how this goes whenever you kill a big deer on public ground, but, rumors get around. Next thing you know, there's a rumor that you spotlighted them at night, So I called a game warden 2 days after I shot him, and he came and checked everything out, checked all my equipment, checked the deer and everything. That way I could put anything to, squash anything before it started. So I do advise if you guys ever kill any deer like that on public ground that are well known, I would go ahead and call the game warden, get it out of the system, because my PB that I shot before this, I had an issue because someone started a rumor, and then I had to sit down and talk to the game warden to get my name cleared and everything, and there was a big old stink about it. So great idea to do that.
Yeah, in hunting, it's pretty much guilty until found innocent.
Yeah.
I've been accused of shit too. It's almost out of hand. The last big buck I got last year, I got accused of poaching that on private land, but I filmed and everything was on film. So
yeah.
That's part of the reason I like filming, and I feel like a lot of other people like filming is just because it holds like accountability to where you were, what you did, how you did it.
Right. Yeah.
It adds a lot to the hunt though too. It's cost me a lot of deer, and it's cost a lot of other people deer. So I get why people don't want to do it. It actually takes away from the hunt a little bit.
It does.
But for me, I mean, I really do enjoy it, or I wouldn't do it. I enjoy sharing it. I enjoy teaching people, and I enjoy capturing the hunt for my family to watch and stuff. So for me, it's good, but I can understand completely why somebody wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
It's hard balancing. Like, I would love to, but it's hard balancing the two. I'm still learning, so filming is hard. And I don't know, you're still learning beast methods, I guess, in a sense. I guess we're all still kind of learning in a sense. And it's hard when you're learning. Like, you had a great year this year, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if he's learning that. Adam's got the PhD now.
Yeah, you might have figured it out.
Not quite, but
yeah, you might have the PhD, like you said.
I always got my ears open.
But it's insane, and it's hard to continuously learn and then be like, okay, I'm going to throw in this other element where it takes me completely out of something. And because who's to say, like, if you were filming, would you have shot those 2 bucks? Or would you have bluffed it because you were trying to film it?
Yeah, may have. Who knows?
Like, it's a catch-22, I guess, when it comes to filming.
Yeah.
It's a big commitment too, because I've filmed quite a bit and tried to film, and I've found this is the way it goes. And Dan, I'm sure Dan would say, you got to take your camera every single time, because the couple times that I haven't, and prime example, one of the nice bucks I shot in Montana, I was new to filming and I had a GoPro on because I was hunting off the ground. I was wearing the GoPro and I tried to start it through the app and something went wrong and it just didn't start. So I had the camera on my head when I shot this deer, but I didn't get it on film. Or 1 or 2 times I've shot antelope now where I was like, I'm 1 for 30 usually on antelope stalks, right? It's super hard. So I was like, I won't take it this time. And of course that's the time you shoot one. So it is a big commitment.
And then there's people like me that are just like, I missed, and I clearly hit the deer, and you just have weird videos.
Yeah.
All right. So somebody asked if you're worried if the game warden, Brian Griggs asked if you're worried if the game warden might tell one of his buddies where you killed the deer.
Well, the game warden I talked to, he seemed like he was a genuine guy and everything, and he swore to silence on everything I told him, and before I even told him, I was like, you know what, now I'm going to tell you everything about where I killed this deer and everything. And you know how it is when you kill a big deer, you don't want to tell anyone, period, where you killed them, because then they're not going to be there the next time. He's like, trust me, everything you tell me today is confidential. So I feel like I can trust what he says. He was in official capacity and everything, and I felt like it was heartfelt what he said. So
everyone, get your FOIA request into Illinois DNR.
all right, now come on.
Just kidding. Don't do that. Respect your fellow hunter.
We got to get our attorneys to write up an NDA for the warden.
Yeah, there you go.
Dan, there were a few questions on stands and stuff. Is there any way possibly we could do like something with Mario so he can address everybody's questions maybe in the future?
Yeah, maybe we could check and see if he wants to address it or not. I don't know where he's at with the stands.
Yeah.
But I've been receiving a lot of those questions too. And if people don't understand that, I'm not involved in that at all.
Right.
I just help with designs and stuff. Mario kind of runs that company completely, and I just go kill stuff. That's what I'm into. So we can see if Mario wants to come on and say something at some point here. But from what I understand, he's still manufacturing. If you got your name in the list, he'll send you a message when they're available.
And then there's been some questions about your old bow as well. Is there going to be anything done with it? Are you keeping it? You giving it to Rat Slayer?
We'll see. I don't want to say anything yet. But we'll probably do something. I just don't want to say anything yet. I don't have the new one yet, and I'm still hunting.
I gotcha.
So, I don't really know if I'm gonna how fast I'm gonna get the new one set up, and I'm hunting until the end of January.
Well, I've got a bow press and stuff, so let me know. I know I'm not in Wisconsin, but I'll help you set it up.
I'm going to jump the question line here because I kind of had the same question, or I've been thinking about it recently. Dan, this is from Steve Denoyer. He says, Dan, do you ever feel pressure to be successful every season because of your following? It matters not to me if you are or are not, just curious.
No, I don't really. I do get annoyed, though, at dumb comments like, did you even shoot a 140? You didn't even get a 140. I'm not hunting 140s. That's not what I'm doing. I'm hunting for myself. It's not to say I wouldn't shoot one, but just for instance, I had a really nice, legitimate 135 plus 10-pointer coming in constantly on a camera I had out there. I put some kid on it. I'm after target animals. If something like that walks by me when I'm hunting, I'm probably going to shoot it. But I really just don't hunt like that. It doesn't really matter to me if I shoot another buck like that. I'm not going to pass something like that. But, once you get a few under your belt, you kind of ease up about that stuff. You kind of feel a little looser about it. You know what I mean? There's a stress when you're young and when you don't have a lot that you got to prove yourself or something like that. It kind of goes away in time. And I don't really have that stress. Other people seem to be more stressed about it than I am.
With that question, do you think you're going to build up a social media following, or do you think you're going to stay pretty well secluded?
Is that for Adam?
Yeah, for Adam. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for me,
makes a little more sense.
It's like a little late for Dan.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I'm not planning on building a following or anything like that. I'm just happy that I've found the beast and I'm able to kill good deer. I'm not. If someone wants to learn from me, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or anything. But I'm not going to put myself out there on social media or anything like that.
Right. I don't think there's too many. David Hostetler said, if you find a big shed, what are the chances that the buck will be there next November?
I'd say varies wildly. Depends on your area, right? Like you get in northern Michigan, Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, somewhere like that, where the deer yard up or whatever, that deer could be 5, 10, 15 miles away in November. Same thing with mule deer out here. I find a lot of sheds in like wintering areas where you can go there in September, October. There's not a deer there. They might be there in November, starting to come into the area, but a lot of those deer winter in areas after the season's already closed here. I know that for a fact because I found that out the hard way a few times where I've gotten to some pockets of sheds, went back there during bow season, didn't see a deer, not even does or anything. And you'd think by the sheds that I found that there'd be 50 deer in there or something. So I think it depends wildly, but Dan, I think you've found some sheds of bucks you've killed. So I think in farm country or areas where they're not yarding up, it's probably a little more common.
Yeah, I've my biggest buck I've ever shot, I picked his shed up out of the bed I shot him out of the year before. I've got one buck. I've got all of his sheds except for one. He's a 5-year-old. One from one side I don't have. But I've also had areas where I think I know every buck in the area, and you find a shed there that's like doesn't match any of them, and you never see that buck ever before, ever again. But you find a shed. Some travel, some don't. Some are homebodies, some winter, different areas. In some areas, all of them migrate. In some areas, some of them migrate. I've had deer that live, in a square block and seemingly never cross a road, stay within a mile. And they really have a core area in there where, they live. You have other deer that you see them 5 miles from where you're hunting them, or somebody shoots them 5 miles away from where you're hunting them. Every deer's a little different. And like you said, you really can't put your thumb on that.
Yeah, I'll take that clue over nothing, but I wouldn't hang my hat on it either.
Right.
Well, and that's like when you get the data from your trail cams. Like you can have a buck on there 1 year and not have it ever again. And then you can have the same buck around the same time frame. It just kind of depends on what they're doing. And I don't know if dispersal happens during that time or if it's a different time frame, but there's a lot that goes on within that time frame, I guess.
Yeah. I think having a history with that buck before you find a shed in that area is huge.
Yeah.
If you just find a shed and you don't know what buck that's from or where he came from or why he was there when he shed, that can be kind of like Jeremy said, we're like, it's better than not finding it.
Right.
But it could have been the one and only time that it ever came through that area.
You find a lot of sheds, don't you, Adam?
I don't, honestly. I found a handful, but I don't find a bunch. Mostly when I go shed hunting, it's just scouting.
Yeah.
Same.
See, I call it scouting, and if I find a shed, okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We got another question for Adam from Farrell. He says, Adam, do you hunt mostly creek systems? Is there much scrape activity?
There's there's some scrape activity, but I've had a lot better scrape activity in other areas. I mean, it just depends on the area, honestly, and the deer density numbers and everything else.
Do you see better scrape activity when you boat out or when you park?
I don't know. It just varies, like how far it is from the parking lot and the pressure and everything else,
I was just curious where you chose to boat out this year. I was just curious if you saw more sign when you boated out or...
Yeah, I definitely saw more sign when I boated out. No doubt about that. That the area where I shot them 2 deer was just torn up with sign, like rubs everywhere, scrapes here and there, I didn't know that when I climbed the tree in the dark, I had prior past with that spot in particular. That's why I was there in the first place, but it just happened to be torn up whenever, and then deer were in there whenever I crossed paths with them.
Is boating the only access to that point, or can you like walk to it and get to it still?
You don't have to answer that.
True. I guess that's a lot.
Yeah. Let's we'll keep it as secret as we can for Adam. I'm not picking on you, Ashley, but respect to Adam for even coming on and sharing the story. So
we do get a lot of stalkers.
No, I get that.
Yeah, we tried to prep them before. Say as little as you can, but still tell the story, right?
Yeah.
So
my bad.
No, I mean, people are curious, right? And that's I want to know too. And if you want to share that, but
there's some questions you just shouldn't ask, right?
Shouldn't answer anyways. Yeah.
Or shouldn't answer. Yeah.
While we're doing that, Ashley, I don't know if we have anything more, but while we're looking for more questions, we did have a few new members tonight, and I wrote down some. I might have missed one, but Fitz and Josh Newhouse. I might have said Josh's last name wrong. Josh, if I did, I apologize. But want to thank everyone for the continued support and the membership. Got a lot of members on tonight. I see a lot of green names in there. And there was a question in the chat about how do you join the membership. So if you are on an Apple phone or an iPad, you can't do it. You have to join either from an Android device or a PC. And if you want to join, all you have to do is go to Dan's main channel, and you should see a join button. If you are on an Apple and you don't see that, then you're not gonna be able to join. So you'd have to do it from a PC or an Android. And Dan, we've talked about it before, but we do a couple members only live streams. You get the full access to all of Dan's Hunting Beast DVDs are now on the members only channel. Dan, you do some shorts, member specific shorts. Anything else that I missed there?
Yeah, there's a little less going on right at this time of the year because of all the hunting, but we'll start doing a lot more of the lives and stuff like that when hunting season ends, and I'll probably put some specific videos up there from my archives that are too short to put on the regular videos, but are really cool, and stuff like that. I think the chats on there are really cool because it's those are usually your your best hunters are usually your members, and those guys really have some great questions and stuff. And so I'm looking forward to doing more of that.
No, that's cool. Oh, Ashley, we lost you for a minute, but you're back. And we got one more for Adam, and we'll probably wrap it up here. And just one more time, Blaine Sanner, if you didn't send me an email, send me an email with your shoe size, shipping address, phone number to thehuntingbeastreport@gmail.com. This question, Adam, is from a member of the Hunting Factor. It says, any good tips for a hunter that's new to Illinois public, and have you ever hunted out of state?
Tips for a new public hunter. My tips are, if it looks good on the map, don't hunt it. You got to find spots that are off the beaten path that people don't think about, and those are going to be your overlooked spots where the big deer are hanging out. That's my number one tip for public ground hunting. If you end up hunting spots that look good, like pinches and stuff like that, the only thing you're going to do is end up getting walked on by another guy coming in. So
great tip.
I found that really to be true in Kansas this year. Man, any place that had a good looking funnel on it or something that you see on the map, there'd be a guy there, or there has been guys there, and everything that looked like crap was full of big bucks.
Yeah. And then, this is obvious, but just get some boots on the ground scouting done, figure out what's going on. If you're going to be hunting it, next season, get there early, get there this winter, see what's going on. That way you can see all the fresh sign and everything else laid down from the previous season.
Let's do one more. Racer Dave says, Dan, what's the biggest buck you saw hunting this year? And question mark, what happened?
The biggest one I'd never seen before. Well, I think it was when we were hunting. It was kind of on rumors and my son seeing it, and I had a picture of a part of a rack. But I started, I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I had a camera set up to try and find this buck. And I was hunting about 200 yards from that camera, and that camera had 2 bucks in the 140s come by it 3 mornings in a row. And I went to sit on those, and the wind change was blowing right at them, and I had to get in there because pheasant season was going to open the next day, and the whole area was going to fill up, and they're going to drive the deer out of there. So I was sitting there, and the wind change was blowing right at where the deer were supposed to come from, and I just decided they're going to come out, they're going to win me, and I'm going to blow this. I need to get out of here. So I left early. It was only like 15, 20 minutes after sunrise, but the wind was blowing completely wrong from what I thought it was going to do. So I started pulling my camera down, and I heard something behind me, and I look, and there's this absolute giant coming in, walking probably 30 to 40 yards, coming right down a trail right at me from a way I would never expect. And if I would have just waited 2 minutes, 2 freaking minutes, that thing would have walked right underneath me. What are the odds? But that was the biggest buck I've seen this year.
Yeah, these things happen.
I got a question before we get off, though. How'd your brother do? Did he end up getting anything?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My brother, yeah, he shot one earlier this year. Big 9-pointer deer he had history with. He's got some private ground, so he has a lot of history with a lot of the deer he shoots and everything. But he ended up wounding one before that. Otherwise, he would have been bucked out. But he's still on the hunt for a second buck.
Oh, okay. You guys go to what, the 15th or something?
We go to I think it's January 19th this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's always around the 15th of January every year.
Well, no, I appreciate you coming on today, Adam, sharing the story. Incredible story and dream hunt, I think, obviously for yourself and a lot of people watching. Hard to imagine, like Dan said, shooting 1 buck of that caliber, let alone 2 on the same day. So pretty awesome. And I hope you brought your brother something nice for convincing you to stay in the stand while he did a little more hunting so he could shoot that second buck. That's awesome.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if Dan, that's all I had for today. I'll turn it over to you or Adam if you guys got anything you want to say for
I got one thing I'm going to say. I just wanted to thank everyone at the Hunting Beast because, like I said earlier, my hunting game has, changed tenfold since I got into, digesting all the Beast material and everything, videos, text, whatever. So if you guys want to step up your game, check it out. You'll definitely be thanking me later.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I know you're normally a quiet person. Appreciate you coming on and talking to everybody and telling your story. It's a great story and an amazing one, and it shows people what you're capable of. What people are capable of if they try hard enough or they don't give up.
Well, last thing, I'll close it off here. Elizabeth Williams gifted 5 Beast memberships. So thanks, Elizabeth, and everyone that's now a new Beast member, which is Mike G, Savannah Outdoors. I think that's maybe the same Savannah Outdoors that hunted with you on the deer drives, Dan.
Yeah.
Jeremiah West, Marky B123, and Daniel Kozlowski, all new Beast members, courtesy of Elizabeth Williams. So thank you. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. And
thank you, Elizabeth.
While she's still being broke down, she was broke down 20 minutes away, and I could have gone and saved her, and I didn't know.
Oh, no.
I saw that. She broke down again.
Yeah.
We were just talking on the last show about her transmission blowing.
I know, and it's all the electronic stuff in her truck. So, good old electronics making things better.
Yeah, we could have 10 podcasts on the reliability of new vehicles and trucks, but we won't get into that. But yeah, so we today is the 10th. We will be back next week for sure, right, Dan? As far as we know, so we'll be back next Tuesday And I think
Yep.
now that the time change is back, we'll be 7 Central. And Adam, I want to say thanks one more time. And Ashley, as always, thanks for helping out with the questions and the giveaways. Appreciate it. And we'll see
course.
everyone
Happy.
next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.